George Orwell once said, "The most effective way to destroy people is to obliterate their understanding of their own history." Black history in America is oftentimes prone to being whitewashed or not told in its entirety. Whether this is to hide the truth of history or to make the facts more palatable for public consumption is debatable. But what is known is that by not knowing our history in its entirety, we are more prone to repeating the mistakes of the past. Attorney and author of historical books on Oklahoma's racial history, Hannibal Johnson said it best when he stated that we are living the legacy of the things that have happened in the past. There is a deep and abiding connection that we can't avoid. This is why I chose the 1921 Tulsa race massacres of Black Wall Street as the topic of my speech today. I will be focusing on these 3 points to inform about a part of our history that is oftentimes not taught in schools. The Black Wall Street before the massacre, the events leading to the massacre, and what happened after the massacre. Before the massacre, the Greenwood District, also known as Black Wall Street, was founded in 1906 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and developed on Indian territory. Formerly enslaved African Americans and sharecroppers escaping racial oppression were able to acquire land in the territory through the Dawes Act of 1887. This law allowed a president to break up reservation land into small allotments that could be given out to individuals. In 1906, O.W. Gurley, a wealthy black owner, purchased 40 acres of land in Tulsa and created a first business, a boarding house in the area. He had a vision to create a place that was built by black people for black people, and soon branched out in his businesses, one of which included loaning money to other residents that wanted to start up businesses. Greenwood soon became its own self-contained and reliant town with its own segregated railway. The town had its own luxury shops, restaurants, grocery stores, and so much more. On May 31st, 1921, this all came to an end when the Tulsa Tribune published a story with the headline, "Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in an Elevator." The newspaper article described the arrest of 19-year-old Dick Rowland, a black man who had been accused of assaulting a 17-year-old white elevator operator, Sarah Page, the day before. In response to the alleged attack, a white mob gathered at the courthouse demanding that the sheriff hand over Rowland to be lynched. A group of armed men then gathered at the courthouse to intervene. The two groups clashed and violence ensued, with law enforcement deputizing white citizens and giving them guns and ammunition, increasing the level of violence. For 2 days straight, white mobs looted and destroyed homes and businesses, and black residents were shot on sight. Those that weren't killed were rounded up and detained at gunpoint by law enforcement into the city's convention hall. In 2 days, over 40 square miles of the district were destroyed. Over 300 black residents were murdered, and over 9,000 black residents were left homeless. The days following the massacre, black residents that had been detained in various parts of the city by law enforcement had to fight for their release. Those that had not been murdered during the struggle were then left with the task of rebuilding the city alone. White civilians and politicians attempted to filter the facts that were leaked to the rest of the nation by banning any photographs of the wreckage, and the death toll were greatly disparaged, reporting only 36 deaths, despite reports of mass graves following the attack. While it is true that every nation has had a past of barbaric behaviors and ideals, the mistake that Americans tend to do is downplay the darker parts of our history, whether it is by continuing to tell the false fable that George Washington's teeth were made of wood, and not the reality that they were made of teeth pulled from enslaved Africans, or by simply refusing to educate our youths on events such as the Tulsa Massacre. We are making ourselves more prone to repeating the mistakes of the past. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And I believe that the first step in doing so is by becoming educated on our past.